Police hope newly released surveillance video helps them find some robbers who held up a fast food restaurant. We'll hear from a mother who says her son was hit with a gun during the crime.
How the Fayette County Health Department wants to make sure the Zika virus and mosquitoes don't become a problem in Lexington this summer.
And so you had him dress up like he is a sheriff's deputy?
Ma'am, that's kids' clothes.
A WKYT investigation, we asked a Kentucky sheriff why his 10-year-old son was allowed to sign an official jail document.
This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening. New tonight, we have obtained surveillance video showing a violent robbery at a Nicholasville fast food restaurant.
Police say 2 armed men robbed the Dairy Queen on South Main Street late last night and pistol whipped a teenage worker. Today, the teen's mother talked to us about the frightening crime. Victor Puente has our top story at 6.
Nicholasville police are hoping someone will recognize these 2 men by their builds and the way they move. They snuck into the building while employees were closing and attacked one of those workers with a gun. Surveillance video shows the 2 men going into the Dairy Queen here on Main Street. Police say they slipped in after an employee propped open the back door while taking out the trash. The mother of one of those workers told us she feared the worst when she heard what had happened.
I rushed down here as soon as I got the call and was just hoping that he was okay, because you don't know until you get here.
Police say the 2 demanded cash and cell phones. Sampson says her son was hit in the head with a gun, but he's going to be okay.
Shoved him. He was trying to shove him back. And they got the best of him, made him get down on his knees and face the corner and put the gun up to his head.
Police say they haven't identified the 2 men. They were wearing pantyhose over their head and had their faces covered. But they think it's possible they'd been in the business before because of where they went once they were inside.
It was kind of odd that they went straight to where the money was, like maybe they were familiar with the layout. Again, we don't know that for sure.
Sampson's son told us those robbers were only in the store for about a minute.
That's traumatizing to a minor. It's traumatizing to anybody, but these people need to understand that it is traumatizing to everybody involved.
Sampson's son told us he didn't want to talk on camera about the attack, but he did say he planned to continue working here at the store. In Jessamine County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
There were 4 workers in the restaurant at the time of that robbery. No one else was injured.
It's become an international concern in recent months, and the Fayette County Health Department wants to make sure the Zika virus does not become a problem here in Lexington. Health leaders are planning an aggressive plan to fight mosquitoes. Garrett Weimer joins us live with more. Garrett?
The health department says they hope there are no Zika outbreaks and there's no way to predict it. But starting next week, you may see health officials out in your neighborhood working with folks to help prevent it. Ann Garnett loves getting fresh air out on her porch. She's thankful all those pesky mosquitoes mostly leave her alone.
I sit out here all the time, and I guess we have a little more than some people, but they don't bother me is a part of it. Now my neighbor, they eat her up.
As concerns about Zika grow, Lexington's health department says they've targeted mosquito hotspots where they've gotten complaints about mosquitoes the past 2 years. Their map shows a cluster of complaints here near Garnett's home along Harrogate Road.
I wouldn't want to bother with all of that. You know, I've got enough problems now with my illness.
Starting next week, health officials plan to go door to door in Lexington neighborhoods like this one, all with the goal of cutting down on mosquitoes and cutting down on the risk of diseases like Zika.
We're going to go out and we're going to do some investigation, do some field work to see if there's standing water in those areas, or see what steps homeowners can do to make sure if those are free of mosquitoes or mosquito breeding grounds as possible.
Ann Garnett says she appreciates what the health department is doing and she hopes it helps.
I got a new grandbaby and I like to sit out here with him. We don't want that problem.
Now, the health department will be going door to door, passing out these door hangers that identify potential breeding grounds they may find on your property and what you can do to fix it. Live in Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
And the health department says there have been 6 confirmed Zika cases in Kentucky.
Tonight, some scattered storms are dropping heavy rain across parts of Kentucky. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey shows us what he's tracking right now for us. Chris?
Yeah, a lot of that thunderstorm action now pressing into eastern Kentucky. Rest of the area getting in on some much better weather, and that's a sign of things to come for at least one day. Let's look outside. We look at Frankfort and Lexington. More sun than clouds. Temperatures into the upper 70s. 74. Had some raindrops here into London a little earlier, and if you notice that I-75 cam, you can still see where the roads are a little damp. And now Jackson, we're down to 66. We were at 80 an hour ago. A little thunderstorm passed through. Right now, Lexington, 78 degrees. That humidity is now down to 43%. It continues to drop as the drier air works into central Kentucky. Showers and storms across the eastern part of the state, right on top of the Mountain Parkway, here from Campton northeast towards sections of Morgan County, and again, not a whole lot with that. That is weakening. Fantastic Friday in the works. Storms, though, ready to crash our weekend party, and we will focus on that and Kentucky Derby week when I come back with a brand new hour-by-hour forecast, guys. We'll look at it together in about 10 minutes.
It brings a whole new meaning to take your child to work. WKYT's investigative team has uncovered a Kentucky sheriff who not only brings his 10-year-old son on the job dressed like a deputy, but he also lets him sign official jail documents. Miranda Combs takes us to Clinton County.
What y'all filming Mr. Guffey for?
That's Sheriff Jim Guffey, and this was the end of our interview. Sheriff Guffey is the top police officer of Clinton County, population just over 10,000. The courthouse sits in the middle of Albany, a typical small Kentucky town where lunch breaks are common.
Hi, how are you?
And visits from reporters aren't.
This piece of paper is what brought us here. This is the Clinton County Jail admission and release form. Check out the signature at the bottom, though, of the arresting or transporting officer. This isn't the sheriff or his deputies. This is a 10-year-old.
We had some concerns from some people in your county
Okay.
about this.
Okay.
Who is that?
That's my son.
That's your son?
Yeah.
And so is he a deputy or?
No, he's not a deputy.
We were emailed this form showing Sheriff Guffey's son's signature on an official jail document. We were also emailed this picture, who Sheriff Guffey confirms is his son.
Is this your son?
Yes, it is.
And so you had him dress up like he is a sheriff's deputy?
Ma'am, that's kids' clothes. There's nothing real on his person.
What time was it?
Oh, it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning.
LaDonna Kempton was one of the women arrested on March 5th by Sheriff Guffey with his son in tow.
He was dressed just like a deputy. Had a taser, had a badge.
Had a taser?
Yes.
You're sure?
Yeah. Showed it to me. Sure did. Yeah. On his side, just like the sheriff did.
We interviewed Kempton in the Russell County Detention Center, where she is awaiting trial for her charges out of Clinton County.
What are your charges? What are you facing?
I'm facing, it could be 5 years or more. I don't know exactly how long.
All drug charges, a felony, and 2 misdemeanors were the warrants she was served on March 5th. She says the sheriff's son was with his dad the entire time but didn't participate in the arrest until they got to the jail, and the sheriff's son took over for signing her in.
Did you see his son sign it?
Yeah, I witnessed his son sign it. They all just thought it was funny, like it was a big trick for this kid to be doing this.
This is a copy of another intake form that we were emailed from the same day as Kempton's arrest. We followed up by asking the jail for the same copy. The one they faxed us, though, is different. It's got transported by Sheriff Guffey added to the side. This is Clinton County Jailer Johnny Thrasher.
This was the original, and then this one says, when it was faxed to me, it says transported by Jim Guffey.
I don't know anything about that either. Well, we just change it.
He says he wasn't there the day Guffey's son came in.
If you were here, would you let his son sign an intake form?
If I'd have been here, it probably wouldn't have happened. But I wasn't here.
The jailer says it's not routine. In fact, he's never seen the sheriff's son in the jail. The sheriff says after our initial calls, he checked with the county judge and other county officials who told him there's nothing wrong with what he did. None of them returned our calls.
I haven't done nothing criminal. I have not put my child in harm's way. So if you're this desperate for a story for your television station, then so be it.
But you had him sign an official document, an intake form at the jail.
A lot of times they don't get signed by officers.
So that makes it okay that your 9-year-old son did it?
So you're wanting to degrade me by doing this? Then go ahead.
It's not degrading. I'm just asking the question of why you would allow him to do it.
I just told you. I don't put my son in harm's way.
You know, somebody needs to know that they've got this 9-year-old kid serving an indictment.
This is taking it to another level. I'm done, okay?
Okay. Well, I appreciate you talking to us.
I mean, this is ridiculous. Sir, cut the camera off, please.
And with that, he walked out.
Well, y'all filming Mr. Guppy for?
Dad protecting his son. His job, though, to protect the county.
And I talked to the county attorney in Clinton County. Michael Raines told me the sheriff's son shouldn't have been signing official papers. Procedurally, that should not have happened. He told me he talked to the sheriff after we showed up in town last week, and Sheriff Guffey told him this would not happen again. And Raines said he would monitor the situation from here on out, guys.
Wow. That March 5th morning, the sheriff was signing warrants, is that right?
He was serving indictments, and that's what he says is the difference. He says he wasn't showing up in an arrest of a crime. It was just an indictment. But however, LaDonna Kempton, who we interviewed, said, well, something else could have been going on at that time, so that shouldn't make a difference.
It's going to create a lot of conversation, a lot of chatter for sure. Miranda, thank you. Well, new tonight, a Madison County jury has recommended 90 years in prison for a woman found guilty of abusing a child. The jury convicted Linda Richmond of criminal abuse and assault. She'll be sentenced May 12th. In 2014, police arrested Richmond and the child's father, Julio Valderas. Police say the couple starved the then 9-year-old girl, sprayed rubbing alcohol on her wounds, forced her to stand in a cold shower, and beat her with a belt. Valderas has agreed to a plea deal that calls for a 20-year sentence.
New tonight, 2 Frankfort High School students who both died unexpectedly were remembered today. The school dedicated benches outside the school in memory of 16-year-old Denham Russell and 16-year-old Bradley Kamick. Students and teachers collected plastic caps for the benches. Family members of both teenagers say they're honored.
It means a lot to me because it's like seeing the community and seeing all the kids and all the teachers and knowing that they touched them.
Bradley's been blessed with so many great people, you know, and so have we, our family and friends. I don't even know if there's words to express how I feel.
2 other benches, also in honor of Denham and Bradley, will be dedicated tomorrow outside the 2nd Street School.
If you have dreams of running in the Boston Marathon next year, you'll need to check out a marathon in Central Kentucky next month. How it can help you get to Boston next. A big boost for runners with a goal of qualifying for the Boston Marathon next year. If you race in next month's Kentucky Ale Horse Capital Marathon and Half Marathon at Fasig-Tipton and qualify for Boston, your race fee will be paid for you.
Race director Bob Bainey says that Alltech, the sponsor of that Kentucky race, wants to support runners with dreams of qualifying for Boston in 2017.
This is an unprecedented announcement for Alltech and for anyone to essentially reimburse runners for their registration fee for going to the Boston Marathon. No other race does this. Runners from Central Kentucky who will go and compete here and then run in Boston next April, and their fee will be paid by Alltech and Kentucky Ale.
The Horse Capital Marathon and Half Marathon at Fasig-Tipton next month attracted about 1,500 runners from dozens of states last year. The run route takes you by many beautiful horse farms.
A major new development on the south side of Lexington is taking shape. Officer Don shot this video from Sky First of the summit near the intersection of Man of War and Nicholasville Roads. Many of the buildings in the mixed-use retail and residential development are under construction. The first businesses in the summit are scheduled to open this fall.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
A good-looking evening for a change taking shape across central and eastern Kentucky. Had some thunderstorms a little earlier. A lot of that stuff now winding down across the mountains of eastern Kentucky. And take a look at those 9 live sky cams from across the entire region. A little more cloud cover in the east to do a little compare and contrast. We are ahead of the front in Jackson. Notice the overcast conditions. Front is right on top of Lexington, mix of sun and clouds. Behind the front now, with dry skies, blue skies, Louisville down to E-Town. That is the air that is taking over from west to east. So a drying trend is setting in. Raining in Jackson, at least over the past hour, knocking that temperature to 66. Everybody else into the 70s as of right now. Defender Radar Network has been awfully busy of late. A little shower and thunderstorm action down the Mountain Parkway beginning to wind down. That stuff from London toward Manchester and Hazard is also ready to come to an end. That cold front zipping its way through the region as of now with that drier air that is across western Kentucky, parts of the Ozarks zipping in for the day tomorrow. 70s, beautiful day. Keeneland, anyone? Just a day out to enjoy? Why not? Here's a breakdown of that Friday forecast, and into the weekend we go. Nice spring day tomorrow. Breezy, warm conditions, lower humidity levels. Picture perfect until we get into Saturday. All of a sudden, storms crash the weekend party. A couple of those could be strong. Not going to rain all the time on Saturday. Not going to rain all the time on Sunday. But yes, you will dodge some raindrops from time to time. Hour-by-hour forecast, hot off the presses. Remember, this is a computer model that is constantly giving us fresh data. New updates every hour on the hour. We go through the evening. Upper 50s to around 60 by 11. Low 50s tomorrow morning. Could be a little fog here or there, northeastern Kentucky especially. How about tomorrow afternoon? Some sun, some high clouds, temperatures into the 70s. Night out on the town Friday. Hey, it's the weekend. Get after it. We go into that Saturday time frame. Now, start to see some showers and storms creeping into the picture. Not all day, kind of coming at us in waves southwest to northeast. What initially happens, we get a warm front to lift its way northward through the area. So you may have a little overrunning rain or shower and thunderstorm action early in the morning. Break out into a little sunshine. The more sun you get into Saturday afternoon, I think the better the chance we see a strong thunderstorm or two with temperatures that will be humid and can make a run at 80. One of those days it's hard, you're going to be hard pressed to come up with a complete range that isn't more than 10 degrees for a temperature trend across the entire area. Now we go into Saturday evening, scattered thunderstorms. Sunday morning, scattered thunderstorms. That'll be with us as we go through the rest of the day on Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised if many of us don't pick up another inch or two of rain as we go into the weekend and we flip the calendar to the month of May and we see some cooler than normal highs for most of next week. Daytime temperatures mainly into the 60s. But boy, that Friday forecast looking absolutely spectacular.
It does. Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Well, it has been a long time since anyone played basketball and football at Kentucky.
Well, I tell you, it's been about 40 years since anyone has done it. Could it happen again? And John Calipari getting himself in shape and talking about coaching for years and years and years. Sports is back. John Calipari has a contract to coach the Wildcats all the way through 2022, but could he go way beyond that? Well, here's Cal getting on the treadmill to get himself in shape. Tyler Eulis was looking on as Calipari thought about winning more championships.
That is 5 minutes to go in the championship game in 2012. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to get my mindset right, my body right, because it's going to be wartime. I don't have an assistant coach who thinks he was the head coach, Tyler Eulis. I'm thinking, if I can get my body right, can I coach to my mid-70s? Maybe. And what would that mean if I'm at Kentucky for another 20? What would that mean? Championships, draft picks, #1, lotteries. No doubt I would have 12 guys in the NBA All-Star game. No doubt. What about wins? So let me see if I can get in that kind of shape to when I'm 75 and still doing this stuff.
All right. We will see about that. Calipari is 57. If you're counting, that would be another 18 years. We move on to football. Kentucky recruiting coordinator Vince Marrow has offered a scholarship to Dayton wide receiver LeChristian Blue Smith. Smith, who is 6'6", tweeting out today that he has been offered a chance to play both basketball and football at Kentucky. The last guy to do that was Derek Ramsey back in 1975. Smith is in the class of 2018. He has received football offers from the likes of Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. The Kentucky baseball team will travel to the plains of Auburn, Alabama to take on the Tigers in a 3-game series that starts tomorrow night. But when the Wildcats take the field, they will see former UK recruiting coordinator Brad Bohannon in an Auburn uniform. Bohannon was a driving force to the Wildcats' success back in 2004, but left for Auburn last October.
So it's going to be weird to see him in another uniform. I don't want to say it's like seeing my brother in a Louisville uniform, but it's similar because, I mean, he's part of the UK family. For as long as I've known UK, he's been here. So it's going to be bittersweet. It's going to be fun to, be a little competitive, shoot him some text messages after the game, especially when the Cats win.
And again, the NFL Draft beginning tonight. It's on ESPN starting at 8. Sam Amber, back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rob. A final check of your First Alert forecast is next.
Then on the CBS Evening News, officers shot a man today who they say threatened to blow up a Baltimore TV station. You can see the sky cam out there, our only window to the world. Looks decent out there right now.
It's really nice when we step out this evening. Humidity levels are down, temperatures in the 70s tomorrow. Superb 75. Storms, though, for the weekend.
Rob, I thought Coach Cal was going to collapse there. He was really working hard.
Going at it.
I don't know about another 18 years.
See you at 11.